And when it's in relationship and you pursue relationship, then that love can be expressed because I was a student, a second-year student at university, and I was radical for Jesus, radical. I got born again out of a life that was very destructive. And I was radical. And I didn't know what to make of this life. And I was in the police force then when I was young, straight out of school. Very interesting story how I got there. Let me tell you this story. It makes for good listening. I didn't like school, but I enjoyed sport. So I did sport at school, and that's basically the reason why I was there, I think. Well, that drew me back to school, to go to classes. I would oftentimes hide my school bag and then tell my mother someone stole my school bag. And for weeks, I would do nothing. Yeah. And then I would go to school, but I don't do homework because my school bag is stolen. And it's gone, and what can I do now? And you know that kind of and Fridays I was never at school. And we when I was in standard 9, it's like, every class contributes to a couple of pages in the yearbook. And our class also, and I wasn't part of it, but they decided that they gonna do this thing, imagine, stel jou voor. And then they would say for the girl, you get sometimes that girls that they always get 90 plus, but when they write a test, they would say, oh, nee, ek gaan hierdie een dryp. That kind of girl. So the girl in our class, and I'll delete it when I edit the video, her name was Teresa. She's really clever. She's a medical doctor today. Very clever lady. She was my grade 1 girlfriend. And she would always be, oh, nee, she's a Canadian drape, and then she gets 90, that kind of thing. And for her, it was imagine Teresa drape, that kind of thing. And then for the guy that really played good rugby, imagine he can't catch a ball, that kind of thing. And for mine was imagine Nico Liebenberg a Friday at school. Because it was unimaginable that this guy will rock up at school on a Friday. So I slipped a lot. I didn't like school, didn't went to play rugby in the afternoons, but not school in the day. It posed a lot of problems, and then I moved from one school to the other one because it got difficult. And I moved back out of this one back to that one, and then it got difficult, and I moved back to this one. So there was this jumping around, standard 8, 9, and 10. But in any case, so matric, I ended up in Pretoria North High School. And it was a Friday. And I don't do school on Friday. So what I would usually do is, those rugsakke wat jy gekry het, soos khaki color and that kind of thing. So I would put my civic clothes in there, take my rucksack in the morning, go to the bus stop, get on the bus, and then I would go and watch a movie. There was Sanlam Centre, I don't know if it still exists in Pretoria, and I would go to the toilets and take off my school clothes, put on my civics, and now I'm going movies. I usually did movies. My mother is that time I thought, if I had to give it a word then, she was psychic. Because she wasn't a Christian. She knew things. She just couldn't factually prove them. So I discovered, yes, I must be very clever around her.
Sorry, can I ask, were you the eldest?
Say again?
Were you the eldest?
No, I'm the third child.
And how old were you? 11th grade? Matric?
Yes, this was now the matric year. So I'm on the bus, and I'm going to town to either a movie or just a place where I can sit and smoke because I want to smoke. And the bus drove the second bus stop. And I saw all these prefects in same matric. They're getting onto the bus.
Oh no.
So I'm thinking, what the heck am I going to do here? And as they approached, the one guy asked me, are you also going to police central? I said, yes, I'm also going. She said, so are you also joining the police? I said, yes. I said, no, I'm also joining the police. So I'm sort of bundled with these guys. So we got off there at Church Square. We all walked to police, and now we write these tests. Now I hear we have to write these tests, aptitude tests, because they apply to go to the police to do their training, army training. You do it in the police 4 years, or you go to the army for 2 years, and you write the test, and if you pass it, then you can join the police. So I'm there, I'm writing the test. And then at the end of the test, I couldn't now say, now I'm going to the movies, because, it's all these prefects, the onderhoofseun and everyone. So I passed the test. Brigadier comes and he calls about, let's say we were about 10, 8 of us passed the test. Now we're going to go to the police force. So now I'm locked into this thing. I'm going to go to the police. So everybody's happy. All 8 of us were happy. We're going to go to the police force next year. So I ended up going to the police force. So enrolled, January starts in the police college, but I'm wild. I got Klein Mannetjie syndrome, and I'm heavy aggressive. So if you're out of line, we're gonna, ons gaan mekaar ontmoet ergens. And I was a bully because I was compensating for the small body. It's not necessarily weak, but it's small, and I'm smaller than the other guys, and all that kind of thing. And I had a girlfriend, and I was in the police college. It takes 6 months training, and after those 6 months I went for what they call counterinsurgency training, where you do suburban terror, stedelike terreur, and those kind of training. But in that time my girlfriend left me. She was still at school, standard 8, 9. She was in standard 9. So she got another guy. I was broken, really, like very broken. Heart sore and missing this girl. And I really didn't even know then that Pretoria had a university. I didn't know about university. My father's a panel beater, my mother's a spray painter. That's what they do for a living. So you don't grow up in a house where it's very academically inclined, or we read books or that kind of stuff. It's like maybe come from the wrong side of the tracks. I grew up in Eastland and Niemand's Park, and it's not the best part of town. So there's no understanding for university studying. And even when I got like the exemption, when I passed my matric, and this is a hopeful story for many young people that I talk with, that would tell me what marks they got in matric. I said, you know what I got? 3 C's and 3 D's.
Well, you did well from the first time, you said, eh?
I was consistent. In any case, I got exemption, and I asked my girlfriend's mother, what does exemption mean? What beteken vrystelling? She said, no, you can go to varsity. I said, really? In any case, I went to police because I was now bundled with these other guys. And I went to the police, and you start your training and make some friends there, and you do all the stuff that you do during your 6 months of training. My girl left me after about 3 months, and I was heartbroken. And then on a Sunday afternoon, your parents can come and visit you there. So we sat there, and my youngest brother is still in school. He says, we found Jesus. I said, what the hell? What's that? I mean, what do you mean? He says, no, we're going to a church. They clap hands and they put their hands in the air and they shout hallelujah and amen while the dominee preaches. And, my mother and father's into this thing. And then my mother said, next week when you got pass, you can come with us to church. And just that was like, yes, she invited me to church, like she's serious, and she's like, there's a difference in her face, kind of. I have a very tough mother. She's tough. She grew up tough. And then I went with it, and to me it was like, I couldn't believe the vibe in this place. And you know the thing, everyone close your eyes, put up your hand, those who want to give their life to the Lord, stand up. Everybody keep your eyes closed, come to the front. I did the whole thing because I wanted this. I was desperate. But from that point on, it started to become very radical for me. Very radical. This is like real. It's like I did find Jesus. So I started to make amends with the guys in the platoon that I bullied. And it was like, yes, Nico, what's fout met jou? And then I started like a Bible study group there. And everybody started to come to the Bible study. I didn't know nothing about nothing. Nothing. Started a Bible study group. Now in the police, you've got like these subjects that you do. Like strafproces en bewysreg, strafreg A and B. It's like really like a school, but in between you run around and you do fitness and you do this and you do that. It's like, it's very tiring. But what I got this little Bible. I don't know who gave it to me, but now how it happens, it's like a very regimented process that you go through. So you wake up very early in the morning, 5 o'clock, you make your bed, clean everything, and then you're on parade there and they check your bed and everything, and then you go for breakfast and then you come back and then the day starts, you go for class and then you run around, then you go for PT and then you go for shooting, you do all the things, and then 5 o'clock when you're finished, 5:30 till about 8 o'clock and in between there's a supper. You have to go and sit, there's space at your bed where you sit and study. And it's like dead quiet. Because the sergeants are walking around there, seeing that everyone is studying. Because on Friday afternoons, you write tests. Strafproces en bewysreg, or strafreg A, all those subjects. But I thought, no, hell, I can't study. Because I don't know how to study to start off with. But then I took my book, and in the book, because the little Bible was small, I would read Bible. Yes, but you check out for this, because you've got a window here, you can just suddenly be there and check, hey, wat do jy? And then all hell breaks loose till 12 o'clock that night, chase you up and down, run, push-ups, star jumps, all those kind of things. But then I started reading this book. Yes, but I was mesmerized. It really, yes, it's like a treasure. I've never seen this. It's like I've never known there was I knew there was Bibles, but it's like I've never known this. So I would read this book, and then Friday, I'm supposed to study. So Friday afternoons, you write from 2 to 4. It's usually 2 or 3 papers that you write. And then lunchtime, I would just gryp die boek, waaroor skryf ons? And I would go through this. Now, I don't know if the guys in the police are very clever or what's the story. But then every test, I got like 90, 98, 95. But I never studied. I did study lunchtime, Friday. And it dawned on me like, yes, miskien is ek slim. Maybe I'm clever. Maybe I'm actually clever. And with the girlfriend leaving me and me trying to get her back, with finding Jesus, with friends, all my friends went to varsity. I didn't know there was such a thing as a varsity actually, in Pretoria. And they got long hair and I got this short hair and I hate short hair and all those things. I decided, no, I'm going to stay. And I can remember it. Now I'm into this book. Yes, I'm reading this book. So I don't know how to discern the will of the Lord or how He speaks, whatever. But I went to the toilet one day and I closed this book like so. Now I need to make a decision what I'm going to do next year. I'm not going to stay in this place. It's not my kind of place. So I took the book and the book fell open, the Bible fell open. And I started reading, I think it's 1 Timothy 4, or 2 Timothy 4, where Paul says, and I can't remember whether he says actually Timothy, but he says, preach the gospel, admonish the old people, treat the old men like fathers, treat the old women like mothers, correct the young people, you know, that kind of. I thought, this is my calling. This is what I'm going to do. I've now found my calling. I'm going to preach the gospel. I'm going to correct people. I'm going to tell them the truth. And then I went, after the college, I went to Corp. Oh, it was tough. I suffered there physically. It's a lot of stuff, and you stay awake for long. And you know, you don't. Corp. It's near Groblersdal. It's a training facility when they do specialized training in the police force. And after that, I went to Die Kloof Onluseenheid. I was tasked to go there. It's near Soweto. And the harshness of this life is tough. I mean, it's 1983, and it's tough. People were dying, a lot of people. And I just couldn't stomach it. It's like a realization, is this really what's going on? Because I'm not very street smart when it comes to politics and that kind of thing. I'm street smart about other stuff, naughty stuff, but not that stuff. And then I sort of thought South Africa is really messed up and I can't stay in this place. I'm not a policeman, man. I felt compassion for black people then. And it was a bit uncommon in the people that I mingled with. So I decided, I got my call. I opened the Bible in the toilet and it fell open, and there it says, go and preach the gospel. Encourage the old men like fathers and the old women like mothers, and the young people, tell them to turn to Jesus, you know, that kind of thing. So in the police force you do 4 years, and then you're exempt from military, or you go to the military for 2 years. So after a year, you can buy yourself out. It cost me 150 rand, and then I'm out of the police force. But before you can do that, you must get accepted at a university. You can't just, and then, unless you want to go to Canada, and then you stay out of the country until all the stuff is settled down and you can back. But I didn't want to opt for that route. So I enrolled for theology. I'm going to study theology because I got my calling. The Bible says I was preached. And then 1984, I started to study theology. Studied Greek, Hebrew, Bible science, all those, psychology, criminology, all those things. I did finish the theology. But in between, I started to take psychology as a subject. And that was like, boy, this is how my mind works. This is what I understand. I've got an aptitude for languages, so I did quite well with the Greek and the Hebrew, and enjoyed it. I can still read and understand most of it, if I read the Greek Bible or the Hebrew Bible. Obviously rusty, I haven't delved into the whole thing. But in any case, so I got this app, and I took French, somewhat by UNISA as well, just to start to learn to speak French. I'm rusted totally with the French, a little bit of conversational French, but that's about it. But in my second year, I took psychology. Nobody advised me to take psychology in the first year. And I'm on this journey. I'm going to preach the gospel. I'm going to bring people to Jesus. I got my call. This is my call. And I started to experience like a kind of a conflict. Because now you're at the psychology department. You get lectured by people which I would define as deeply in love with people, deeply caring for people. Psychologists do. These professors do. If they speak to you, you can see a kind of compassion they have. It's like they take their work serious, and people is their work. And they love people. And then you would, in a day, same day, you would have classes at the theological department. And these guys they were like dead. Intellectually, very qualified. Know a lot, but when it comes to people, it's like, soos 'n bysaak daar. Het gaan nie daaroor nie. It's all about the rightness of the theology. the correctness of interpretation and hermeneutics and exegesis of the scriptures. But I really experienced a deep crisis. And I thought, yes, I get a phone. I made a mistake. I can't become a preacher. I didn't know anything. What do I know? I just read this book, and this book says, because I've thought God let it fall open on that place. It's not me. It could have fallen open any place. So, and that's all I knew. You need to preach, because what else? How else do you do it? And I sort of decided, now, this Christianity thing is not for me. I finished the studies, but with the psychology I continued, and at one point in time I thought, no. I think partly the contamination of words, religion as opposed to relationship, only come later, but it applies to my experience then. And then for a while, time after I think I finished the honors, it could have been that time I took a backpack and went to Europe and traveled there for some time. Because I thought, no, shucks, I'm leaving this Christian thing. I just don't connect with it. I don't feel the love that I thought was there. And then I traveled Europe for quite a while. Did everything that any young Christian shouldn't do, especially in Holland, great place. Yes, when you go into the coffee shops and they give you a menu. German poison. No, German poison, thanks. And then the waiter would tell you, good choice, huh? Good choice. And Holland was amazing. And you experience a lot of things. And then I came back to South Africa, continued studying. And when I finished, I think I finished my master's degree in psychology. But then I still had to go to the army, because I didn't finish army. I was always studying, and I had to go to the army. So I went to the army, went to the Military Psychological Institute. Yes, I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I was now 25 years old. I had some brains. I understood things. The corporal is 18, 19. What the hell can you tell me? He shouts and screams, and then I would think to myself, hey boy, if we get out of here, I'm going to smash your head in. Just for now, you're on top. I'll get you. But when I was 18 and I screamed like this and shouted, and I was like trembling, fearful. Then I did a year army. Yes, I enjoyed it. I traveled the whole of South Africa. I did a lot of work for a brigadier, did a lot of assessment for the special forces. I was in the special forces. Why you did a kind of a clearance process. I went through that process, and I went to the special forces. It was then called 7 Medical Battalion. It's for people who's got degrees, but they want to be in the special forces. So I went there, and then eventually I got an accident, and they kicked me off the course. So I didn't finish that. But then I got back, and they had a placement in the Military Psychological Institute. So I helped them with the assessments of the guys that applied to do the reconnaissance, recce's, the special forces. Went to Bluff and Durban, and then you go and walk with these guys for weeks, and you assess who will actually make it. But they sort it out themselves. I mean, 40 youngsters rock up there, and about 6 remains, because it's just hell. It's hell for weeks. But in any case, became part of that and did some other work. And then in that year, a friend of mine, we were about 6 guys staying in a house. You do your basic. I think the basic was like 3 months. And then we became lieutenants because we've got degrees. So it's all the guys with degrees, the doctors and the lawyers and so on, and psychologists together. So you do your basics and then you can go and live anywhere depending on where they place you. So I was placed here at Military Psychological Institute in Pretoria. And we were 6 guys living in this house. 3 of them were going through divorce. So we had this huge poster in the house. A man eats a woman like a fish needs a bicycle, you know. Everybody's angry at women in the house. There's one friend of mine, he's a CA, he worked then as part of his army, he worked for the director, the auditor general. Because he's a CA, very, very successful businessman today. But he also stayed with us in the house because we did basics together. And he called me one day. He said, listen, I saw this pretty girl in the lift. How do I go about meeting her? I said, no, it's easy, man. You tell her your friend at the Military Psychological Institute is doing research on the moral dilemma of young adults. I'll design a questionnaire for you. I'll give it to you tonight. You ask her if she wants to be part of the study, and you go and sit with her and complete the questionnaire. So I printed him about a 4-page thing, just a lot of questions. He took it that night. The next morning he contacted this. He saw her again. She's on maybe a floor just above him. And he went to her and said, listen, a friend of mine at the MPI, Military Psychological Institute, is doing research on the moral dilemma or the moral development of young adults. Would you mind to be interviewed, to be a subject, part of the population of the study? She said, no, fine, I'm busy doing my honors in psychology. So yeah, I understand this. You can interview me. So he talked with her, and later that day he called me. He said, yes, this is an amazing girl. Yes. I then had another girl at that stage. So in the army I got like 125 rand a month. That's what you get. It's not a lot of money. So I had to make a plan. So I got a girlfriend. She's got a Porsche, and it's a rich girl. I don't know how we got together, but she became my girlfriend. Because you can't survive 125 rand a month. It's impossible. So this girlfriend was supporting me, and when I needed something, she paid. I don't feel guilt about it anymore because I've resolved the thing with her and asked her for forgiveness afterwards. But no, this friend of mine met this girl, and one night he brought her to our commune. Yes, and I saw her and I thought, this is a girl. This is like trouw material. But he was pursuing her, so there's this rule amongst us as 6. You don't touch that girl if the other guy is pursuing her. We had some respect for one another. So it was hands off from my side. But I really liked this girl. I thought, just do something, huh? And then my girl left me. So it's okay. It was like an arrangement. She wanted me, and I wanted to be supported, and it sort of synergistically worked out quite well. So she left me. I'm there to say we left one another. And this friend of mine, one night he came home and says, no, that girl is not interested. She says, I'm on the rebound, because he was going through a divorce. I'm on the rebound, she's not interested. I said, are you serious? He says, yeah. So I thought, no, that's a good thing. It's a good first step forward. And then about 2 weeks after that, she called me, this girl. She said, listen, I'm preparing, because she was now studying psychology, honors in psychology. I'm preparing for psychometry. I'm writing in 2 days' time. Psychometrica. Would you help me? I said, oh, what a question. Of course I will help you. So come on over. I know psychometry. I finished it last year. It's Runel, my wife, so she came. I sat there that whole night and I explained to her psychometry. But I was like in love with this woman. So what actually happened with her is some of the guys that was with me in basics, maybe because of the way I am and how I do things, some of the guys worked with her. She was doing an internship as a psychometrist at the personnel part of the army, where this friend of mine worked in Centurion. So she was doing some kind of internship there. And some of the other guys, the lawyers that was with me at basics, they talked one day apparently in the tea room about this guy, Nico Liebenberg. And she listened to them and she thought, shit, that's the kind of guy I am interested in, that I would like to meet. I didn't know that. She didn't know when she met me, this is the Nico Liebenberg. So eventually I don't know how she discovered, I'm the Nico Liebenberg they've been talking about, that she was mesmerized about. So it's another good step forward. But I was drinking heavily, like really, I was drunk every day. The captain at the MPI was so despondent eventually with me. Didn't know what to do with me, because you can't do much. You can become an aanklaer, it's okay. And then we go through the motions and then it's like dismissed and nothing really is going to come of it. So our house and two other guys, we decided at the end of that year, when you get like 14 days leave, we're going to go down to Gordons Bay. So we got ourselves a place in Gordons Bay caravan park, old caravan, those round ones. And we all moved down. And it so happens that Renelle and her friends are also down in the Cape. And so I called her one day while we were there and they were there. Her brother-in-law was a minister in the previous government. So they had a house there at Acacia Park, is where the minister 6 months in the year they would stay there, and 6 months they stay here. And I called her and said, listen, we are going to Clifton today. Where are you going to? No, they're also going to Clifton. So we met there, and yes, now I started flirting with her. But I've got lots of courage because I'm constantly drunk. I don't care, but I like this girl. So eventually she said, no, yes, she likes me, but no, the drinking it's not good. It's not good. She's not interested in it. It's too much. So, but I'm flirting the whole day, and that afternoon we decided now we're going to go to Llandudno. We bought some, typically young people, wine and cheese and baguettes. And we went to Llandudno. And there's huge rocks. I don't know if you've ever been there. Huge rocks there, and we sat on the rock. But I was flirting like the whole day. I like this girl. And then at one stage there, I decided, okay, now that's enough. I've spent myself here. It seems like you're not interested. So it's okay, let's call it a day. So I got off the rock and I started walking, and then it was like 5 minutes, she's next to me. She asked me, can I sign your stuff? I said, of course you can. So then I said, kan ek my hand vashou terwyl ons nou maar hier stap? She said yes. And then from there on, things started to happen. And when we drove back, I was lying at the back of the bakkie. And I was thinking, what am I going to speech if I marry this girl? Because I want to marry this girl. I'm 25, it's time to get married. This is what I want to do. But she was now finishing her studies, and she was on her way to doing au pair in Europe for a year. So I told her, listen, I'm going to get married this year. This is now January, when we're all back now. New Year has started. I'm going to get married this year. And if you don't go and do au pair, I'll marry you. Because I want to marry you. But if you're going to go and do au pair, then I'm not going to marry you. I can't wait a year. But I'll do this. I'll take you to Europe for a month on our honeymoon if you marry me. And it's like a kind of a troostprijs. And then she said, no, she'll marry me. And then that year, June, we got married. But now part of the story that I want to get back to is like, now I'm like totally not into Jesus. Not at all. But I had him as one of my options. So one night here at the Milky Cove, you know, you can sit there and you drink because you're in love. And she's in love and we're in love. And you sit and you talk and you drink milkshake and another milkshake and you talk and they close up and you say, where to now? Where can we keep on talking? And there I told her, listen, I feel I should dedicate my life when I'm still sinning too much now and I'm enjoying it. So I'm not going to stop the sinning because I enjoy this and I enjoy the smoking and the drinking and the things. But when I get married, that day things will change for me completely. But I've got three options. I'm going to dedicate my life either to Sigmund Freud, Carl Jung, Carl Rogers, or Jesus Christ. One of those three. And then I can remember it quite well. She said, if you are going to get married to me, it must be Jesus Christ. I said, well, he's one of the options. So it makes it easy for me. And we got married. And I feel embarrassed not to know the date. I think it was the 6th of June or the 8th of June. July. Thanks. Okay, was it the 8th of July? 8th of July. You got married? Say again? No, it must be the 8th.
That's your birthday.
Okay, then it was the 6th.
Oh, the 6th.
Yeah. And we were meant to go to Europe that Monday. So it's the Sunday, so we booked into Fook Island. I don't know if you know Walter Battis's house. Here in Menlo Park, the painter, which was also a lecturer at UNISA in art. His house was converted into like B&B. Beautiful place. It's here in Menlo Park, man. So we stayed there because on Monday we fly to Europe. And that night, I said to her, remember what I told you at the Milky Cove? So I asked you to join me. I'm going to kneel next to this bed. And I'm going to give my life to Jesus now. And that's what I did. And I gave my life back to Jesus. Like I'm back again in the whole mindset that I sort of left behind with this radical thing of Jesus. And she gave her life to Jesus. And we started this journey. It wasn't obviously a journey without a lot of challenges, because I had a lot of stuff to sort out, a lot of healing to happen with me on different levels, habits that I had, sexual brokenness that I had, things that I did. That was the journey. Then, good journey after that as well. Also had a lot of ups and downs, things that I did that wasn't good. But there was a lot of forgiveness, a lot of healing that came, a lot of battles that I fought just to get, like we all do, where you are today. So the essence, just like, the essence for me remains Jesus Christ, like, because I know what I am if I'm not with Him or in Him, what I can become if I don't remain constantly in a kind of a conscious awareness of Him. I don't have it in me to live a meaningful life as a person, I don't. But in Him, it's like I can breathe, I feel safe, I feel peace, I feel meaning, it makes sense, I remain sane, kind of, if I can use those words. You know, I don't know how we got here, but we are here now. So I think something maybe that Paul said, you know, Christ in me, the hope of glory. to bring hope. Wherever we get, to bring hope. I know I'm on a sort of a personal revival currently in my life. I'm really inspired to let the light come. Let people be healed. To whatever little bit I can do to bring hope. We never look upon that as the greatness of man. It would be so wrong. It's actually the greatness of a God that loves beyond understanding. I still grapple with the idea that God can go so far to allow his son to be murdered so that he can have me as a son. That idea, I don't know what to make of it. I do, in my insides, fall on my knees and say thank you that it is like that. But I would never sacrifice one of my children for anyone. Doesn't matter how good you are. Doesn't matter what you want to give me in return. So it's like a mystery. Oh, it's a very meaningful life to be in him, to live the life that he has poured out in me. I think most people can testify about that. The moving away from the whole, to bring it back to maybe try some kind of loop closing here. The whole thing of religion, I think it hurts more. It hurts more people. It really repelled me when I saw religion, when I studied. But when you bring it in the understanding of relationship, where we can just be, where you can make mistakes and be forgiven, where you can speak forgiveness over other people because they make mistakes, where you can be humble sometimes, where you can be vulnerable other times, where you can just be okay with sometimes not being okay. That all ties in for me with the whole idea of relationship. When I think of it as religion, I think, now what must I contribute to make this right? And how must I now do my prayers? Or how must I bring my sacrifice to please this God that will pour his wrath on me if I don't do it right? I think it's a sort of for me, a deep understanding of my, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. I've seen myself. I've been there. I've seen how totally inept and incapable I was to please him. I can't please him. I had to resolve it for myself. I am pleasing to him, but not through what I can do. I am pleasing to him through what Christ did for me on my behalf. As one of my spiritual mentors, yesterday when he described it to me, it was like, said when he hung on that cross and he took sin, has come into me, and pain and infirmity and everything I take into this body, and I'm going to bury it. And I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to come out of there. And I'm going to be resurrected, but that is going to die. It's sort of created a picture in me of, if he did that, even thinking about my life is not even a minute response of thankfulness. Although I want to live it like that. In thankfulness, thank you for this life given that needs to be poured out, because otherwise I can't hoard this life. I can't keep it back. I can't hold it for myself. I need to share it. And I am sometimes abrasive, and I am sometimes, like in the street, would tell someone, you know what, hey, last day or two ago, I just saw this guy. I could see he's a poor guy, white guy. And it's not just white and black. It's not the issue. And I've just thought to myself, I need to tell him that he's loved. I need to. So I stopped him and said, hey, hoe gaan it? He was like a little bit taken aback and said, nothing, no harm. Just want to tell you God loves you. We had a little chat and I gave him some money for food. I thought he needed food. So just to share this life, just to not be afraid to share this life, just to not be so hooked up on your own dignity that you want to walk in, that you don't do in simplicity some acts of kindness through his life in us, so that others can actually see him. And not religion. Not, hey, you should now get this in place. You should do this. More like, yes, we're all journeying on this planet. We're all struggling from time to time with our thingies, our issues. The word issue. On my Facebook page, I'm listening to Todd White at the moment. And I heard him this morning say, Jesus cancelled his lifetime subscription on all his issues. You know, lifetime subscription on your issues. He's cancelled that. No issues are coming. So, yeah, it's a play on words. For those who didn't get that, you know, you subscribe to so many issues per year kind of thing. But he's obviously referring to other issues that we have. So, I thought of, thanks, the whole thing of having comfort as a friend or security as a friend. Thanks, Martinez. Thanks, Lalone. And now I thought to myself, I don't want dignity as a friend. Because I'm like you. I think some of us in this room is like this. We want our dignity to be protected. We want to be dignified. I'm currently at a place where, no, I ain't going to be dignified. I'm going to be that young man that I knew when I was 18 and 19. That was very courageous and very bold and didn't give a hell what anyone thought about him. Because he thought he got life, and he thought he got some book that speaks the truth. And so I'm actually, that I've decided for myself, I'm 19 again. And I got no reputation to protect. So I'm dangerous, but in a good way. Because it's a great life to live, the life of Christ. I think we all will get to a place in the end, whether you're young today or older today, there is a day, there is a moment where for you, for me, it's going to be finished. Where life called you on this planet will stop. If we do get there, and you can look back, if you have the opportunity, maybe you die a decent death, whatever that means, and you can have time to reflect about this life that you've lived, because when you get there, you cannot come back here. You cannot rewind. You cannot undo. You are now there, and I'm talking to when we're old and have the grace to die of age. And you reflect back and you think about this life. I deeply believe that we want to say, what a life. What a life. What an adventure it was. What an uninhibited spending of this life it was. What an outpouring, like a real outpouring this life was. And it's now an empty shell. And it's not an empty shell because it's got nothing of value. It's an empty shell because everything of value was poured out, was used, was given, was shared, was applied to bring life to someone else. I think that if I project, imagine the end, that could be the end. Because there comes a time where it will end for you. That's a guarantee. This life ends in death. This life has some kind of point where it ceases to be. And then when we get there, when you get there, when we all get there, whenever it is, because it will be different for all of us, that you look back and you think, you're mentioning those passages where Christ prayed over his disciples. It starts round about John 14, 15 to round about 17, 18. I've written a little book about that, which I call The Last Conversation that he had with his friends. I call them friends, some other people call them followers or disciples, but it's his last conversation that he had with his friends. And that what you mention here is his fundamental message that he wanted to bring across to them, telling them that we're one. We are one. Me and you and me, us in the Father in us. It sounds like a very mystical idea, but actually it's a very fundamentally profound idea to say, I find myself in Christ. In Christ. I am in him. So whatever flows from that, whatever might be a blessing to anyone, is because of him. And I am in him, and he is in me. I mentioned it earlier this year, saying, and this is actually what I've learned from Jean about this, is like the 2-liter Coke bottle with seawater in it, filled with seawater, and then that bottle lying on the bottom of the sea. So the water is in the bottle and the bottle is in the water. I am in Christ and he is in me. It's a bit of a mystical idea. I know for the Roman Catholics it is. And for other people in the Roman Catholic traditions, like Madame Guyon or Brother Lawrence, that Lawrence wrote the book Practicing the Presence of God. What a book! What a book! It was just a cook, a potato peeler in a kitchen, and he had polio. He couldn't even walk properly, and he has written this little book called Practicing the Presence of God. And then Madame Guyon that has written Experiencing the Depths of Jesus Christ. And that's a beautiful part out of the Roman Catholic tradition in terms of the relationship with God. There's a lot of things of the Roman Catholic tradition I don't understand, neither would I embrace. It doesn't make sense to me. There's a lot of things in Protestantism that I don't understand. Intellectually I understand it, but it doesn't make sense to me.